I have to say, that scene with our boy Take thinking that Kobayashi is the reason why, like, puppy play and this master servant, all these kink-like fetishes are occurring, was a highlight of not only this episode, but this season of Dragon Maid. I mean, this boy has a right to be visibly confused. I mean, who he probably wants to be a future girlfriend is making dolls, putting it between her breasts, saying, oh, do you want to go in there too? You have this Kobayashi who seems like this evil demon who has a bunch of women living with her who pretty much do these, like, kind of fetish-like things. And he's probably a little jealous all at the same time. You understand where the boy's coming from. And, I mean, I've been saying it pretty much since the get-go of this season, that this season not only is a step up from season 1, which was saying a hell of a lot, but, like, seriously, this is some of the best content, especially in kind of like that slice-of-life family dynamic anime genre that the medium has ever seen. Like, there's always going to be a ridiculous amount of sexual fan service, but I always think Dragon Maid does it in such a funny fashion that whether you're doing it for the eye candy or you're doing it for the laughs, I think it kind of hits a sweet spot for everyone. And another episode divided into 3 memorable chunks. Father's Day, which was surprisingly well done. I mean, I really thought I wasn't going to care too much about the whole amulet-making situation, but that turned out to be really solid content. You then have the sickness of Kobayashi, and then Toru's really sweet, like, quest to go get medicine, and pretty much came back looking like she just fought off the demon army. And to then end with something pretty sweet, kind of tying back to Ilulu, and the idea of abandonment, where she, at one point in her life, abandoned a doll, which seems pretty small in the grand scheme of most people's lives, but for someone who always wanted to be with humans, and then due to those circumstances, not being able to keep that gift, like for her, seeing an abandoned doll in her own store is something she can't deal with. And I thought it was pretty heartwarming and kind of sad all at the same time, but at least it ended in a positive way of what that girl was saying, like the fact that she abandoned something that clearly meant a lot to her because of peer pressure, you know, the friends poking fun. It doesn't matter if they were doing it maliciously, like they were actually insulting her, like how dare you have a doll, or if they were just kind of being friends, goofing off, like I know I like to goof off and poke fun at my friends, but at a stage in that, you know, part of your life where everything matters, like one wrong word said to you can like ruin your entire year, I mean, it's pretty heartbreaking, but I'm glad that Ilulu stuck to her guns because I'm not sure if I'm the only one feeling it. I thought she was going to keep that doll. I thought what was going to happen was they were going to build it up. It wasn't like she was just going to keep it for no reason, that they would try for a week and they couldn't find the owner and then she'd keep the doll and the owner would come in and say, oh no, actually, yeah, like something like she was originally saying, I was hoping you would display it at the store. That's what I was thinking. So the fact that they actually committed to her finding the owner, I thought was a much more fitting punchline for the episode, and really, even if they did end with the whole Take doll in between her tits, I mean, seriously, for the most part, that story arc was some of the more emotionally highlighting points of this episode, which truly, Ilulu's content is some of the most emotionally engaging, which I never would have said walking into this season. Like, I wasn't the same as Twitter being like, cancel Dragon Maid because of her character design, but I did assume her character design meant one thing, and I thought it was going to be very similar to that of another character in this show with very large breasts, who, up until this point, really hasn't had too many, like, big emotional moments, so I thought it'd be more on the comedy side. But seriously, I mean, everything's really just hitting home with that emotional punch with a good sense of comedic relief. And the Father's Day stuff, even though there's constant Tits Day reminders, which I was like, god damn, the Crunchyroll title for this episode mixed with Tits Day, I thought was just such a glorious touch. And the idea that, you know, someone who constantly is trying their best, who wants to impress their father, and is going, you know, following the steps, but apparently blowing their room apart day in and day out, and finally was able to secure that W and was able to, you know, get that praise from their father that they desperately wanted. Of course, similar to the Ilulu part of the episode, dominated for the most part by an emotional sequence to end in that comedic relief, but still, it was a surprisingly nice kind of moment that I don't think is necessarily needed, but the more you have of that, especially with those characters who may not necessarily be your favorites, like in the case for myself, but I see those and I never say, oh, you're distracting time away from the main stars of the show. Because really, everyone is the star of the show, even if I have my personal favorites. And the fact that Kana gave Kobayashi a Father's Day present, I thought it was just like, oh, she was gonna just, you know, because she saw other people doing it, I don't have a father, so I guess I'll give it to Kobayashi. But the fact that she's like, I'm not a mother, and she's like, you're a father. I was like, that's probably cutest, but probably most facepalm moments for Kobayashi. But I have to say, out of everything I saw in this episode, the middle portion was definitely my favorite. There's something interesting about dragons interacting with humans, especially because they're naturally not supposed to connect. And as we've seen with Fafnir's content this season, it's just odd, right? It's something that they have to get used to with human culture. So the idea of a common cold, well, if you've never seen that, that looks pretty frightening. You know, someone who's usually pretty collected is basically sweating non-stop, she's soaking the bed, and she looks pretty damn horrible. But anyone who knows what a flu or cold is can look at that and say, yeah, that's sick, and you definitely want to take your medicine, get your rest, and take care of it so it doesn't become something, you know, very, very bad. You don't look at that and say she's guaranteed going to die. But for someone like Toru, I like seeing her panic. I like seeing her visibly worried about what if she does go. What can I do to help her? So while you start off sweet and simple with her making a dish that would be easy for her to eat, turns into a concoction that is just vile, but you can't say no to her after she made it. But to see her, like, go after the medicine and how, in a very normal human fashion, by the time she gets back, she's already mostly better. But that moment where she still takes the medicine, I thought there was something sweet about that, because not only did they do that amazing detailed shot of Toru just lighting up from being soul crushed to just, you know, so happy that the medicine immediately worked. I think the line boiled down to something Kobayashi saying, like, even if I can't tell if it's working or not, but after seeing that smile, how could I not tell her that her hard work paid off? And yeah, similar to every single point in this episode with its story arcs, ends on emotional with then a quick comedic relief scene, which was, in this case, Kobayashi becoming a cat girl and then playing with Kana in cat-like fashion. I mean, there's something about the charm of this season. Like, I loved season 1. I went back, actually, I think 2 or 3 days, I think it was 2 days ago. I rewatched the first episode of season 1, and just comparing where season 2 has gone over 8 episodes is insane to me, and is probably, I would argue, one of the biggest leaps in quality without saying, oh, the previous season was trash. No, I still think what they accomplished with that was incredible. But being accustomed to these characters now, even introducing a new character like Ilulu, everyone feels like they have a place in this cast, and it's truly one of the more memorable family dynamics, even if it is, you know, filled with so much sexual fan service. I find it to be funny. Hell, the sound effects they use for breasts when it's like plopping in the bathtub cracks me up. Maybe that's childish to some, but goddamn, Dragon Maid knows what it's doing. And I guess it is now confirmed for 12 episodes for this season, not 10 like originally it was, because I guess what probably ended up happening from what I'm reading, the translations that have been happening for like the Blu-rays, the number of Blu-rays, which is how you always know how many episodes a season will have, most likely they didn't add the plus. What I mean is, like, the final Blu-ray for this is saying 10 plus, meaning 10 to 12 episodes. But I think originally the translations were just like, it ended on 10, so that's probably where the confusion happened, because now everyone's listening it for 12 episodes. So, I mean, seemingly we're getting 12. I mean, I'd love 12. We've got 10, whatever. I mean, I just want quality Dragon Maid, and seemingly quality Dragon Maid is what we're going to be receiving. Let me know your thoughts and feelings so on this week's Dragon Maid episode, your favorite point in the episode, and what do you hope to see with future episodes? Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.